So you're training from home, all you've got is some dumbbells. Super easy to find exercises for the upper body online. Not so much we can do for the lower body. I'm going to show you a few different exercises that you've probably done or seen before, how you can switch them up to train with dumbbells from home.
I've seen through different colored eyes, but you and
I'm going to start off hitting the quads. We're going to do a goblet squat, so you're holding a dumbbell in front. We're going to do this with a bit more of a focus on just the quads and not worried too much about heart rate or anything like that, which is quite often what this exercise is used for. We're going to do the goblet squat, very similar to a sissy squat. If you don't know what a sissy squat is, that's where you really come up on your toes, let those knees come forward. We're going to try and engage the quads as much as possible. So what I need you to think about on this exercise when you're doing the sissy squat is you're trying to stay as upright as possible and you're trying to get your knees as far forward as possible. When you get your knees forward and stay upright, we're now engaging the quad as much as possible, stretching all the way up there. If I keep my feet flat and push my bum back, you can see the quad's still moving, but we're really stretching the glutes, the hamstrings become involved. We want to shove that knee forward and stay upright. So you'll be on your tippy toes, and then as you push up, it's almost going to feel like a leg extension. And you're going to come up, we're not going to lock out, I'm going to control it down.
I hope you see him as strong, being scared to do any wrong, just to live up to his size. And see,
if you've been around long enough, I'm sure you've heard that when you squat, you want to be on your heels, and that is true when we're trying to move heavy weight. If we're just trying to hit your quads, then we're going to do what's best for the quads, and that's shoving the knees forward and staying upright. So controlling on the way down, you can even pause at the bottom, come up nice and slow, and try not to lock out. That's a great way to make a light dumbbell feel heavier. If you want to go a bit heavier, instead of holding the dumbbell up here, and now the core and the upper back can become the limiting factor, you can even hold these just like a deadlift. You can hold them down by your side and still perform a goblet squat. As far as how many reps to do, that's going to be dependent on what weight you've chosen. You need to keep going until your legs are shaking and then do a few more. All right, hopefully the quads are smoked. We're going to move on to hamstrings. Everyone's done these before. This is a dumbbell Romanian deadlift. I think not everyone knows that you can change your stance on these. So we can do a sumo Romanian deadlift, a really close stance Romanian deadlift, or somewhere in between. So make sure you try different stances, different foot positions with your Romanians. Don't just keep doing the same variation over and over. Whew. So I find when my feet are closer, I can send my butt further back and I feel a massive stretch in the hamstring. Oh God, I'm too puffed. So I find with just a normal stance or a close stance, I can push my bum right back and I get a massive stretch in my hamstrings. But I'm tipping over so much that it is working my lower back as well, which can be great if I'm trying to hit my lower back at the same time. The sumo stance or the wide stance, I feel it a lot more in the glute, in the bottom of the glute, top of the hamstring. As with most exercises or every exercise, there's no right or wrong. There's just better for you. Whichever one you can feel engage the muscles more, whichever one feels better on your body, you should push hard on that one. Same idea for the rep range. Go until your hamstrings are shaking, do a few more, take a quick rest, repeat.
we'll have this one thing the same, the only ones to never console man by his name.
Now you can do the same thing with these Romanians. You can go really slow on the way down, pause for a second at the bottom, then come up really fast and squeeze. One thing I like to do as well, and this is only if you've got the strength in the erectors and the trunk, let that dumbbell go in front of the body even further, and you'll get a massive stretch in your hamstrings. Remember, when you're doing a normal deadlift, the goal is to move as much weight as possible, so you want to keep the bar as close to the body as possible. If you're trying to hit your hamstrings, you want to make the hamstrings work as hard as possible, so put that dumbbell or put that weight as far away from the muscle as possible, and now they have to work harder. All right, now for the glutes, we're going to do some split squats or reverse lunges. Different ways to do this. You can do this to hit the quads or hit the glutes. I did these this time last week, and for 2 days, I couldn't even sit on the floor to stretch. My ass was on fire. We are trying to hit the glutes, so I'm going to reach my butt back as far as possible and really try and reach back and stretch all throughout here, and then press up through that glute. So my back leg's going to be back there, stretching back, and then pressing through there. You can have your back foot elevated on something, which is why I mentioned that it's kind of like a Bulgarian split squat, but really that back foot should just be there for balance. Now these dumbbell lunges, split squats, reverse lunges, whatever you want to call them, they can be great for the quads, but only if you're trying to hit the quads. and we hit the quads before. So remember, we're trying to focus on the glutes now. If we're going quad dominant, same as the first exercise, I'd let that knee shove forward. I'd really try and keep my body weight over my knee or over my quad. We're trying to hit the glute. So it looks a little bit more like this. We're leaning back, letting that glute stretch, and then pulling with the glute and hamstrings as well. As always, end on your calf raises if you want. I mean, whatever. So there's a few different exercises with dumbbells that I'm sure you've seen before, you've heard before, and you've probably been doing. Just remember, it's not a particular exercise that's going to work a particular muscle group. It's how you perform that exercise. And make sure that you're really conscious when you're doing something, what muscle group or what muscle groups you're trying to hit. And if you're struggling for having lots of weights or different size dumbbells, remember that changing the angle, changing the tempo, changing your rest periods, all those different factors can make that weight feel heavier, and you can still get a good workout in. All right, cheers for watching. Make sure you follow along, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
He's colorblind, but he can't see what's best for you and I, despite